Maybe you've already tried to change. You tried new habits. You read books. You visualized. You affirmed, waited, believed. But deep down, the feeling remains. Something invisible keeps pulling you back. As if the outer world shifts, but inside, the same stuck sensation keeps repeating. What if your struggle isn't in your rational mind? What if it's not an obvious block, but a vibrational entanglement? Invisible to the eyes, yet active in the field. Quantum physics calls this entanglement. Particles that remain connected even when separated by space and time. What happens to one affects the other instantly. Now apply that to your life. Intense memories, unresolved emotions, former selves remain intertwined with your current vibration, keeping you linked to a timeline that no longer serves you. Bruce Lipton teaches us that our energy fields are shaped by perception, and that biology follows this silent vibration. Dispenza adds, it's the coherence between thought, emotion, and action that activates the quantum field. If your reality keeps repeating, it's not because you're destined for the same cycle. It's because some part of you still resonates with the past, and the field, like a precise mirror, simply reflects that. This video is not about changing thoughts. It's about releasing invisible threads. It's about understanding why, even after so much effort, you still feel like you're in the same place. Now that you've made it this far, maybe it's time to undo the knots and move energetically toward where your soul already is. You might be blaming yourself for not being able to change. You might believe what's missing is willpower, focus, discipline. But what if what's truly missing isn't effort, but vibrational liberation? Most of us carry a silent, persistent sense of emotional déjà vu. We wake up with the same thoughts, live out the same dynamics, react with the same impulses, even while longing for something new. The problem isn't in your rational mind. It lies deeper, in an energetic bond rooted in the emotional body. Every intense experience, especially those involving pain, creates not just a memory, but a vibrational signature, a kind of invisible trail imprinted on your electromagnetic field. This pattern no longer needs an external trigger. It feeds itself. It becomes familiar. And to your nervous system, familiar feels safe, even when it hurts. That's why reality keeps repeating, because you're still energetically entangled with what once was, as if your frequency is tuned to an old station, and even though you want to change the image, the sound of the past keeps echoing. Bruce Lipton reminds us that our cells respond to our internal environment. In other words, your biology adapts to the vibration you sustain the most. You can repeat abundance affirmations all day long, but if your body vibrates in rejection, fear, or guilt, that's what the field will mirror back to you. This is why real transformation doesn't start in the mind, it starts in the field. It begins when you recognize that your current reality is not a punishment nor fate. It's simply the reflection of an old vibrational tie that has yet to be released. And the first step is not to force a new life, but to honor that bond and begin to release it with awareness. When we think about ties to the past, we almost always think of people. Old loves, difficult family members, emotional bonds that hurt and never healed. But vibrational entanglement goes further. You're not just connected to people, you're connected to entire realities. Versions of yourself that still live within your field, even if you've already changed on the outside. They're situations that have passed, but still vibrate. Feelings that weren't processed, just swallowed. Desires that were never fulfilled and turned into silent frustrations. All of this creates a set of frequencies that remain anchored and continue shaping what you experience in the now. Picture your life as a spiral of timelines. Each choice, each emotion felt, each decision not taken opens a vibrational possibility. What often happens is that you remain emotionally tied to old versions of your story. And without realizing it, your field is still transmitting the echo of who you once were or who you felt forced to be. These kinds of bonds don't break with time, they break with awareness. Because as long as you're energetically entangled with those old realities, they'll keep influencing your decisions, your reactions, your way of being. That's why certain patterns repeat, even if you've understood everything intellectually. You may have studied spirituality, taken courses, read countless books, but if you still carry the energetic weight of a wounded version of yourself, that's the version the field recognizes. and mirrors back to you. You're stuck in old frequencies, not out of stubbornness, but because of a lack of vibrational release. And here's what matters most. You don't need to fight those realities. You don't need to deny what once was. You simply need to realize, I'm still attached to something I no longer am. And that awareness alone begins to unravel the invisible thread that holds you. Maybe you've already tried everything: positive affirmations, vision boards, meditations with quantum music. Maybe you even followed all the right steps, and still nothing truly changed. And then that subtle frustration hits. Does this really work? But the issue isn't with the technique, it's with the emotional frequency behind it. Visualization isn't just imagining with your eyes closed, it's feeling with your whole body. It's transmitting a new signal to the field from a state of being, not a mental desire. When you visualize prosperity but silently carry the pain of lack, it's that pain the field hears. When you long for a conscious relationship but still vibrate with unhealed rejection, it's the wound that gets transmitted, not the desire. The quantum field doesn't respond to surface-level intention. It responds to your dominant emotional signature. It's like tuning into a radio station. You may say you want to hear a new frequency, but if the dial is still set to the old channel, the same song will keep playing. And often, without realizing it, you enter a vibrational contradiction. You visualize something grand but live in survival mode. You affirm healing but still move through fear, through resentment, through attachment. Visualization becomes an aesthetic ritual, but empty of coherent energy. And without coherence, there is no collapse of reality. The field doesn't respond to what you try to convince. It responds to the frequency you embody, even in silence. That's why some results only appear when you stop forcing and start sustaining a different internal state, with no need to prove anything. Visualization starts to work the moment you stop using it as an escape and begin practicing it as a recognition of what already vibrates within you. It's not about seeing to believe, but about feeling to transmit. The universe doesn't negotiate with words. It's not convinced by arguments. It doesn't interpret your intentions. It mirrors your vibration. Everything you call reality around you is actually an exact reflection of the frequency you sustain the longest. You may desire peace, but if you're still at war within yourself, it's the conflict that keeps being reflected. You may want abundance. But if you still vibrate fear, anxiety, scarcity, the field doesn't distinguish what you want from what you are. It simply replicates what's being transmitted. Imagine a quantum mirror with no judgment, no filter, no intention to punish or reward. It simply responds with mathematical precision to your predominant vibrational state, and that has nothing to do with what you think. It has everything to do with what you choose to keep feeling, even unconsciously. What do you feed when you're alone? What do you believe about yourself in your deepest silence? What do you relive internally when no one is watching? That is what's shaping your timeline. Because the field doesn't respond to your hope, it responds to your energetic coherence. Do you still choose, even unconsciously, to relive the pain of rejection? To hold on to guilt over something long gone? To act from a version of yourself that only knew how to defend? Then that version is at the center of your reality creation. The field doesn't react to your ideal self. It reacts to your vibrationally active self, right now. That's why more important than asking for change is having the courage to observe, who are you still being? Not to judge yourself, but to remember that every moment is an opportunity to update your signal. The question that changes everything isn't, what do I want? But rather, who am I choosing to be energetically, even when I'm not noticing? The field hears you without words, and it always responds with mirrors. Maybe you've lived this before, just an ordinary day, nothing apparently happened, but suddenly a weight settles in your chest, an unnamed, unexplained anguish, as if something old is trying to return, and in fact, it is. The past doesn't always come back as conscious memories. Sometimes it returns through vibrational resonance. Your mind may have forgotten, but the body remembers, and the field, which connects everything you've ever been, still feels the invisible threads that haven't been released. This is how emotional entanglement works. There's no visible external trigger, but there's an active internal vibration, silent, repetitive, deeply rooted. You feel the same loneliness from years ago without anyone saying a word. You relive the insecurity of a forgotten childhood without any new event to justify it. And the most unsettling part, you start to doubt yourself because it all seems to come from nowhere. But it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a specific point in your energy field, still carrying the echo of something unresolved. It comes from the part of you still tied to a fragment of identity that once suffered, and somehow still believes that suffering is normal. That's the logic of entanglement. Past versions remain active in your system until they are consciously seen, honored, and released. They don't want to be erased, they want to be transmuted. And until that happens, they will keep interfering with your present, like vibrational ghosts that don't knock at the door, but walk straight through the walls. Liberation begins with recognition. When you say to yourself, this feeling is not from now, it's an echo, an energetic memory, and I can let it go. You don't need to fight it, you just need to observe without identifying. Breathe without attaching, acknowledge, and then release. Because as long as your field carries the emotional frequency of an unintegrated past, it will keep coming back. Not to punish you, but to remind you there's still something to be healed. You don't need a lab to detect the invisible ties keeping you stuck in an old timeline. You just need to observe what keeps repeating, because the field always gives you signs, and it speaks through the details. Emotional triggers that appear out of nowhere, a song, a smell, a single word, and suddenly you're no longer in the present. You're reliving an old wound. Your body tightens, your breath changes, your gaze drifts. You feel something was activated, but you can't quite name it. That's the first symbol, the involuntary return to an emotional state that should have already ended. Another silent sign, sabotaging thoughts that keep coming back, even after all your inner work. You read the books, go to therapy, meditate, but still hear that voice whispering, you're not enough. And even if you don't want to believe it, a part of you still does. Because that belief isn't just in your mind, it's imprinted in your vibrational field. It's not just a thought, it's a frequency. Then there's the feeling of being out of sync, as if the world moved on, and you didn't. You try to keep up, try to fit in, but something always pulls you back. It's a quiet disconnection from the flow of the present, because you're still entangled with an old version of yourself that no longer belongs here. And there's the fatigue, a tiredness that doesn't come from your physical body, but from your soul. You wake up already drained, even after a full night's sleep. You feel a constant pressure in your chest. You carry tension in your shoulders, your neck, your breath. That exhaustion is a sign that your field is overloaded, not with the present, but with leftover energy from the past still taking up space. These signs aren't punishments, they're invitations. Calls from the universe to look deeper, with more presence, more listening, more compassion. Because as long as you treat these signals as normal, you'll keep spinning in vibrational loops, hoping the world will change, without realizing that the world only mirrors what you still carry within. Reality isn't punishing you, it's revealing you. And these signs are maps pointing you to the exact place where your soul still needs to be set free. In quantum physics, there's an intriguing phenomenon. A particle only defines itself when it is observed. Until then, it remains a possibility, a field of probabilities. This is the observer effect. And in your life, it's happening all the time, silently. While you're living on autopilot, your patterns continue to exist as invisible waves. But the moment you look at one of them with full awareness, something shifts. You're not just seeing, you're collapsing that frequency. You're pulling that emotion out of autopilot and saying, I see you, but I'm no longer you. Conscious observation is the first step to breaking the entanglement. It's when you stop being the emotion and become the awareness that witnesses it. In that moment, the old timeline loses power. Because what keeps a reality alive isn't what happened, but how much you still vibrate with it. Looking with presence is how you free the field. And every time you choose to observe without fusing, something within you reorganizes. Collapse isn't loud. It's a deep silence, where the new begins to be born. Every real transformation begins with a clearing, not of things, but of accumulated energy. Undigested emotions, old stories still taking up space, versions of yourself that no longer fit. All of that clutters the field where the new is trying to land. The universe doesn't fill clutter, it expands where it finds space. That's why, so often, before something beautiful happens, life seems to leave you in emptiness. Relationships fall away, paths close, familiar references vanish. It feels like loss, but it's liberation. It feels like abandonment, but it's preparation. In quantum physics, the vacuum isn't absence, it's pure potential. It's the field where new particles can emerge. In your life, emotional emptiness is the portal that precedes a new frequency. But that takes courage, because the ego fears the silence. It prefers any repetition over facing the unknown. Creating inner space is allowing the old to leave, without rushing to fill the void. It's trusting that the field knows how to reorganize according to your new choice. And in that fertile silence, reality begins to hear a different voice. You don't change your reality just by wishing. You change it by recognizing what still vibrates the same, and choosing, with presence, not to repeat it. The first step is observation. No judgment, no rush to fix, just noticing what keeps showing up, recurring emotions, intrusive thoughts, decisions made from fear. These repetitions are the threads of the entanglement. You can only untie a knot once you understand how it was formed. The second step is naming. Putting words to what was once just a feeling. This is fear of rejection. This is attachment to something that invalidated me. To name it is to separate from it. It's stepping out of the cycle and seeing it as a structure, not as your identity. The third step is release, but not with force, with gentleness. To release is not to forget. It's to stop feeding with your energy what no longer serves you. It's to stop reliving inside what your body has tried to release 1,000 times. And finally, the daily practice. It's not magic, it's vibrational consistency. Small gestures with new intention. One different choice, one thought left unfed, one silence where there used to be a reaction. That's what tunes your field to another version of you. You're not lost, you're in a process of disidentification, and that is already liberation. The future you desire already exists. It's not in tomorrow or later, it's vibrating right now, somewhere in the field. The question was never how to bring it here, but rather how to reach it. The leap doesn't happen when everything outside changes. It happens when, internally, you stop inhabiting the identity that grieves, repeats, waits, and self-sabotages. Every time you act as if you're already living what you desire, even without proof, even without guarantees, something in the field starts to reorganize. It's a paradox, yes, because you don't see it yet, but it's already there. Because you don't touch it yet, but it already vibrates, because you're still afraid. But a new courage is also being born, quietly, deeply, without an audience. Reality is not earned, it's attuned, and you no longer need to push life to make it happen. You only need to stop insisting on being what you no longer are. Moving toward the future is, in truth, stopping hiding behind the past. And when that happens, the field responds with a subtle but irreversible sign, the feeling that something has finally clicked. Within. You are not broken. You are still connected to a frequency that no longer represents the soul you are becoming. And that's why everything feels tight, repetitive, out of place. You are not stuck. You are entangled. An entanglement is not a sentence. It's an invitation. Bruce Lipton reminds us that new perceptions reprogram not just the mind, but the body. Dispenza shows us that the field doesn't respond to what you desire, but to the vibration you sustain most consistently. And now, after everything you've heard here, maybe you can see, there is nothing out there that can set you free, if you don't first set yourself free from the identity keeping the prison alive. The true leap isn't loud. It begins in silence, when you grow tired of carrying what no longer serves you and with calm determination choose to let go. Today, you can declare, I am ready to untangle myself from the timeline that no longer serves me. Say it inwardly, or write it if you wish, like a ritual. But say it with your whole body, with presence, with truth, because the field responds to what is real. You are not late. You are exactly where you needed to be to make this choice. And now, the path begins to respond.